A historic day for Palestine, and one step closer to joining the community of nations.
138.
The United Nations General Assembly overwhelmingly voted to upgrade it to a non-member observer state.
Your support for our endeavor today will send a promising message to millions of Palestinians on the land of Palestine.
It's a recognition of its historic claims for statehood, and based on the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967, encompassing the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip. And predictably, the United States and Israel opposed the move.
Today's unfortunate and counterproductive resolution places further obstacles in the path to peace.
Mr. President, this resolution will not advance peace.
The threat of a U.S. veto ended a similar attempt at the Security Council last year.
Peace is hard work. Peace will not come through statements and resolutions.
The Palestinians should first make peace with Israel and then get their state.
For decades, Palestinians have been told to be patient, that peace is just around the corner.
Peace will only come when Palestinians and Israelis sit down and talk to each other.
That within 3 months we would want to see significant progress on borders and security.
We are meeting to talk about the way forward. More to come.
But how many corners do we need to turn?
We have to sit together, negotiate together, and reach a mutual compromise in which a demilitarized Palestinian state recognizes the one and only Jewish state.
With Netanyahu pushing him to the edge, Abbas defied Washington in order to save his authority and leave a legacy. Since signing the Oslo Accords in 1993, he's rarely stood up to the United States. Time after time, we saw the so-called peace process launched and relaunched.
The descendants of Isaac and Ishmael have embarked together on a bold journey.
Again and again.
I believe now is precisely the right time to begin these negotiations.
Two states living side by side.
A relaunched and revitalized, renewed negotiation. That's the best thing.
Time has never been on the Palestinian side. With each new round of negotiations came more settlement expansion and a Palestine divided into smaller and more separated enclaves. And for the last 4 years, even the illusion of negotiations has disappeared under Netanyahu and Obama.
And I understand that how they feel in the absence of a peace process and looking at the prospects of a peace process with a future Israeli government. And that seems, from their point of view, bleak.
And with every new turn, the role of the U.S. as an honest broker became more and more of a fantasy.
So there should not be a shred of doubt by now. When the chips are down, I have Israel's back.
Instead of moderating the Israeli position, U.S. unconditional support bolsters Israeli hardliners and fuels hostility towards the Palestinian people, making a two-state solution ever more difficult. But increasingly, others in the region have the Palestinians back.
We will continue to work next to the Palestinian people, supporting them until they get all their rights with their free will for all the Palestinians.
I think that this time the situation is completely changed now. Egypt is not a mediator. Egypt now, I think they came in our side.
The Arab revolutions have Israelis on edge.
It just reinforces pre-notions that Israel had about this is a very, very bad neighborhood.
With a new confidence, both on the ground and in the diplomatic arena, while the Palestinians remain divided, after decades of dispossession, occupation, and humiliation, the Palestinians' struggle for independence in a state with Jerusalem as its capital survives, and so do Israeli attempts to prevent it. But the birth of a Palestinian state only begins when an occupation ends. So must the Palestinian dream of a state be Israel's nightmare? And is there still a path to a two-state solution?